Hello everyone, I'm Ronan, and I cleared Honor Mode first try with a party of 4. It was a lot of fun, but now I'm attempting to clear it solo in Honor Mode with some additional challenges. Not only can I not use any elixirs, no baromancy, so no explosions, and no vendor glitches. I plan to clear solo Honor Mode for every single Origin character, and this is the build that I'm going for the Dark Urge. If you're new here, like and subscribe, and comment down below what Origin character build you would like to see next for the next solo Honor Mode playthrough. Before we continue, I do want to give a shout out to Suicide Squash. Thank you for being a member of my channel. If you want shoutouts like they have, along with some additional perks like badges, emotes, and early access to videos, then hit join down below. And of course, if you want to see me attempt these solo Honor Mode runs live, then come by on Fridays. That's usually when I live stream. The concept of this build is to be a highly defensive debuffer that can set up stacks of radiating orbs with reverberation and fear, attack from afar, retaliate on enemy miss, and have the defensive utility to survive in a pinch. I call it the Eldritch Cleric, aka a Tavern Brawler hybrid of Eldritch Knight and War Cleric. What's really fantastic about the Dark Urge, other than unlocking Slayer form that you'll get later on, is the fact that you can actually gain any race that you want, since the Dark Urge is the only type of Origin character to customize your race. Because of that, there are quite a few different racials you may want to utilize. Although you can go with anything that you want, I think Half Orc is very strong due to Relentless Endurance, essentially giving you a get out of jail free card because it's a cheat death once per long rest. But we're actually going to be going Dwarf, specifically the Dwagar Dwarves. The reason for that is due to their racials. By being a dwarf alone, you'll gain darkness vision, which is nice, so you don't have any disadvantages in darkly dimmed areas. You have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have poison resistance. But as a Dwagar specifically, you'll have advantage on saving throws against illusions and being charmed or paralyzed, which is very nice to have. You gain a very useful specific racial in Large, which normally is a spell that has a concentration, which will also give you increased weapon damage, but as a Dwagar, it's not a concentration, and you gain invisibility as well. So at level 3, you get Enlarge and invisibility at level 5. With all that combined, you have a ton of beneficial racials that I think are very useful for a solo playthrough. My starting stats are on screen now, and they may seem a little odd to you since we are going to be using the Tavern Brawler feat, but I do want you to keep in mind, as a solo run, there's no reason not to utilize the Hag's Hair, so this build will utilize the Hag's Hair, and the only non-restriction I had for not being solo is for story-related items. So when it comes to any NPC chat and stuff like that, if it doesn't require any combat, I gave myself the okay to do that. So I am having Asterion bite Araj and Moonrise Towers to get the +2 strength potion. The reason I want to do that is because when you do that with all your feats, you will get to 22 strength. Furthermore though, what makes it very, very strong is your Slayer form, because Slayer inside Baldur's Gate 3 at level 10 has a fixed stat rate of 25. So when you combine that with the extra potion and the Hag's Hair, this gets you to 26 from the Hag's Hair and then 28 with the potion, giving you a massive strength modifier, which is very, very strong if you plan to use Slayer form at all during combat. How you go about leveling is realistically up to you, but do keep in mind martial classes don't gain the benefit of extra attack until level 5, while War Cleric gives you a bonus action for extra attack right from the jump. So do keep that in mind. No matter what though, once you reach level 6, I would highly recommend you respec if you don't have Fighter at level 1, that way you do have Constitution saving throw proficiency. The feats we're going to utilize for this build in order will be Tavern Brawler, that way you can get your thrown weapon stronger right away, or Alert. Either works. Alert's very useful for that +5 initiative, which is very, very nice, and not being surprised is also very useful. And the final feat will be Ability Improvement. Like I said earlier, with combination of Hag's Hair and the Potion of Everlasting Vigor, you will be at 22 strength. Combine that with the Mirror of Loss in Act 3 and you will be at 24. When it comes to the recommended spells for the Fighter Eldritch Knight portion, my go-to cantrips are going to be Mage Hand for sure. Minor Illusion is also very useful, but feel free to replace Minor Illusion if you don't want to use it, but I think for sure get Mage Hand. I like using Longstrider for the increased movement, and it's a ritual spell. Magic Missiles works really well considering it never misses, so it doesn't matter how low your intelligence score is. Shield is a straight up defensive utility, so it doesn't rely on any modifiers, so again, doesn't matter how useful your intelligence modifier is. And the last spell is realistically whatever you want. I went with Featherfall just to have a way to reduce my damage early on. For the Cleric side, there's going to be quite a few spells I do want to talk about, and because Clerics are able to have their spells prepared, you can change this whenever you want for the most part. So for their cantrips, I went Resistance, Guidance, the other two, pick whatever you want. Because we went War Cleric, your Divine Favor, Shield of Faith, Spirit Weapon, Magic Weapon, Crusader's Mantle, and Spirit Guardians, all of these are prepared at all times, and you will get all of these as long as you put at least 5 levels into your Cleric class. Now, the other spells I think are situational, but also useful at certain times. So, Bless, without a doubt, very useful. Sanctuary, without a doubt, also very useful. And I think Sanctuary should be on your bars at all times. This will save your life, trust me. I'm a big fan of using the Glyph of Warden. This is really powerful because it is an AoE effect, which I do like a lot. Combining this for like water or like anything like that to get the enemy wet, essentially doing double damage. So if you have Create Water and you have Glyph of Warding at the same time, you can do double water, lightning, and cold damage. I like Enhance Ability. This is great if you want to get around any type of like charisma checks and things like that. Of course, you know, things like Guiding Bolt can be useful at times. Remove Curse when you need it. Aid if you want extra HP, and all these other spells have uses when needed. Command is very strong, Silence is very strong, and a ritual spell, which is great. Daylight, depending on what part of the game you're in. I guess you can kind of tell what I'm going on with this. And of course, Hold Person, another fantastic spell. One other thing I did want to mention is the Shapeshifter's Boon Ring. Because you have the ability to shapeshift with the Mask of the Shapeshifter, this Boon Ring is very useful for any time you want to help out with charisma checks while shapeshifted, and this also affects the Slayer form as well, which is another useful benefit. The way the gear interacts to make this build function is going to be main 2 pieces, Gloves of Belligerent Skies, which whenever you do thunder, lightning, or radiant damage, you will cause reverberation against the target, which is a stacking debuff to give the enemy -1 to strength, dex, and constitution saving throws, and once they get to 5, they can take thunder damage and possibly fall prone. Combine that with the boots that whenever you do a condition, you get inflict 2 turns of reverberation, so these alone already stack reverberation quite high. However, if you have the Corsication Ring, whenever you deal spell damage to an illuminated target, they get radiating orbs. Kalos Glow Ring, whenever you attack an enemy that is illuminated, you do additional radiant damage. Combine that with the ability in order to do magic damage of Magic Missiles, which pretty much illuminates most targets that you hit, or using AoE spells like your Spirit Guardians. As well, you can easily stack up a lot of radiating orbs. If you'd like to use the Luminous Armor, you certainly can, however, it's not required. Add in the Holy Lance Helm, so whenever you have an enemy miss you, you have a chance to do radiant damage to the enemy, and this counts as magic damage, which will then stack your Corsication Ring radiating orbs. But it gets even better if you use the Adamantine Shield, and when attackers miss you, they get sent reeling, which counts as a debuff, which then gives reverberation from the boots. So pretty much everything you do with this build is going to debuff the enemy in some shape or form. It's very, very powerful, and depending on the type of rings and everything else you want to use in between, you can easily change the build as you go. We already talked about why the combination of Callous Glow Ring with the Corsication Ring to give you Radiating Orbs is quite strong, especially when you combine that with the Boots of Stormy Clamor and Gloves of Belligerent Skies. But what makes this build exceptionally well is actually a weapon you get inside the Grimforge, and that's going to be the Shining Staver-of-Skulls. You can buy this from Corsair Greyman, assuming you don't kill him when you take the boat ride to Grimforge. So don't push him in the water. It's very important you don't. You want to buy this from him when you get to the other side. This weapon always shines in bright light, so it will always illuminate enemies, thus doing radiating damage, which counts as magic damage, which then will give radiating orbs on the enemy. And because you do radiating orbs, it's a debuff, you get reverberation. Because it's radiant damage, you get reverberation. You see where I'm going with this? This is considered a thrown weapon. As an Eldritch Knight, you can actually bind a weapon to you, so anytime you throw a weapon, it will automatically return to your hand. This is very, very powerful because this counts for all thrown weapons. So daggers, hand axes, javelins, light hammers, spears, and tridents are all considered weapons you can throw and will give you maximum damage, which is very, very nice. Of course, there are other weapons like the returning pike you can use inside Act 1, or just any regular spear if you wish, but realistically, you want to get this light hammer because it's better. Now, what is really interesting about this light hammer is how it interacts with the rest of your toolkit. When it comes to stacking those radiating orbs and things like that, I'm going to showcase combat here, but I do want to talk about some other weapons that you may want to utilize. So because you have a little bit of low initiative early on inside Act 1 until you get the alert feat, you're going to want to use the Bow of Awareness, which will give you +1 initiative, and you can buy this from Roa Moonglow inside Act 1 inside the Goblin Camp. If you want even more initiative when it comes to shields, you can buy the Sentinel Shield in Act 2 if you want advantage on perception checks and +3 bonus to initiative. But you do give up the Adamantine Shield, which gives you immunity to crits and allows for an additional debuff of reeling. But that may be something you want to sacrifice because you can easily get crit immunity from the Grimskull Helm as well. Now, when you get to Act 3, this is when weapon choice opens up a little bit. You have the Dwarven Thrower, which is a weapon exclusive for dwarves that you can use for a Tavern Brawler build. It is very strong. It does additional damage if you are a dwarf, 1d8, and if the target is large, huge, or gargantuan, you do additional damage, which is very strong. Or, in my opinion, because we are setting up a lot of debuffs, you have the Legendary Trident. This thing gives you increased jump distance, extra spells to use, AoE thunder damage, as well as extra movement. So overall, this is the better weapon, and it gives you immunity to fall damage. I think this is the best bet, bang for your buck, I guess you could say. Of course, early on, when you don't have access to the Gloves of Belligerent Skies, you can utilize the Sparkle Hands. I know it doesn't state it. It says unarmed attacks, but this will actually give you lightning charges on thrown weapon attacks as well, and you can get this very early inside Act 1. Assuming you go to the Githyanki Crest, you would then get the Gloves of Belligerent Skies shortly after. But you can also use Flawed Hell Dust because this will actually make your weapons do additional fire damage, but when you throw a weapon, it counts as unarmed attacks, so you do have a chance to bleed the enemy as well, which is also very useful. Your chest piece, of course, is Luminous Armor. This is a really nice chest piece if you want extra radiating shockwaves, but isn't really that needed, and I would recommend you do replace this later on. You can easily replace it with the Adamantine Splint Armor, or inside Act 2, if you want extra HP, you can use the Dwarven Splint Mail, which will give you +2 Constitution. You do have to pass a special check in Moonrise Towers in order to buy this, but that extra Constitution is very useful. And once you get to Act 3, the ultimate chest piece, Armor of Persistence, giving you Blade Ward and Resistance baked into your entire kit for free. Very, very strong. Everything else is realistically going to be up to you. Your neck piece, naturally, the Amulet of Greater Health is the way to go if you want extra HP and will allow you to respec your other stats into like Wisdom, for example. But feel free to pick whatever you want for your neck. Early on, the Broodmother's Revenge is very, very useful to give you extra poison damage on your weapons. And this counts for any heal, so you can use a potion at the start of combat and get extra poison damage at pretty much right at the start, which is very, very useful. Alright, when it comes to your Illithid powers, realistically, you want to get the go-to things. You want to go up and get Ability Drain. Of course, you want Luck of the Far Realms, Beginnings. I'm going to come all the way down and also get Call of the Week. And the more Illithid powers you have, the stronger Call of the Week is. So if you want a full Illithid power run, then this is the build for you. And to combat, if you are preparing for a big fight, some things I would highly recommend you do. Definitely make sure your weapon is bound to you, obviously. I'm going to make sure I have my Long Strider equipped, so I do have my increased movement. Let's go ahead and do a couple of things real quick. We're going to use Potion of Healing, Speed, Enlarge, and cast our other abilities here. So Spirit Guardians, we want to be radiant damage pretty much at all times. I'm going to Enlarge. Use my potions. All right. And if I wanted to, I could have summoned my spirit weapon as kind of like a distraction so enemies can attack it. Realistically, I don't think it's needed right now. Now, I do want to showcase the cool interaction though with this hammer specifically that I was talking about. So let's go ahead and attack this enemy here. He's in a shadow, so he's not illuminated. So with the base illumination this has, he will become. Now, I want to point out some damage here at the very beginning, just to showcase a point. So you can see I have the 2 radiant damage here, plus another 2 radiant damage because of the way the Callous Glow Ring works when it comes to having Tavern Brawler damage added. You can see my additional modifiers for my hit chance and stuff like that, and that's because I am enlarged. So when you're enlarged, you do additional damage, 1d4. And take a look at his debuffs. He already has 2 stacks of Radiating Orbs and 2 stacks of Reverberation. So what I'm going to do on my turn now, if you know you're in a big fight and you have a lot of people that you're going to fight, you can easily use Magic Missiles. If you upcast it to rank 3, you can shoot it 5 times. Well, there's 5 enemies. So let's go ahead and get a debuff on all of them, shall we? Now, everyone has Radiating Orbs, and they all took damage from my ring here as well because it counts as magic and they're illuminated. So they all took a little bit of extra damage. Look how many Radiating Orbs they have on themselves though. 8 stacks, 6 stacks, 2 stacks, 6. Like, it's insane how much you can stack up debuffs on enemies quite quickly. I'm going to use Action Surge just to make a point when it comes to damage. Let's go ahead and just start throwing a weapon at the enemies. So this one heals, so we're going to attack her first. And of course, if I was using the Legendary Trident, the damage would be higher. Wow, crit miss. That is really unfortunate considering my hit chance is so high. But you know, nat ones happen. So she fell prone, so chances of her getting up to attack me are going to be low. Now, all of them are pretty far ranged. I'm actually going to move forward here because I want to get in their range. And here's why. You can see Spirit Guardians does damage. Look at all that extra damage I did for free, and they have max stacks of pretty much 10 for most of these people. So strong. And I'm going to end my turn here now. Whoa, that one hurt. So he rolled. He's going to hit me. I'm going to use my shield. That way I can not get hit from this ranged attack. And because he missed from my helm, it did damage to him, since the helm has a chance to do damage when characters miss or attack me, I should say. And because of that, he got knocked prone from the Reverberation debuff. Look at all this free damage and whatnot that I'm doing to enemies just because they are in my area of effect. It's very strong. They miss, he takes damage. He misses, he takes damage.
Now, that's unfortunate that I didn't get a chance to kill her earlier. It is what it is. But what I can do now, I'm going to throw her because she's in my way. Let's go ahead and throw her at this enemy here. So she's dead. He got hurt. And what's really great about this is I doubt I'm ever going to get in range to be killed. If I ever am, you have Sanctuary to where you can use this and they cannot target you with direct spells. AoE spells can still hit you, but not direct. My potion is about to run out, so I'm going to use another one just so I end up showing the debuff here. I'm going to showcase the debuff. Even though I'm hasted and I made it run out on purpose and whatnot, you can see I have 3 now. I'm going to shield and it doesn't even matter. Even though I didn't really get to do anything else on my turn, they're going to constantly miss me because of my shield. It's such a great combo. And when they miss, they have a chance to get sent reeling. And when they attack me, they get attacked as well. And you can see I am taking a little bit of damage here since some of the rangers are hitting me, which is why I recommend to replace the luminous armor. This is 15 base AC, and with my dex modifier, it puts me up to 16. So imagine having another +4 AC on my 27 right now. It would be absolutely ridiculous, wouldn't it? So this guy here is what really bothers me because he is pretty much going to hit me for free unless I get some debuffs on him. So if I go to attack him, we'll just attack him with the hammer. Look at all that extra damage from one hit. 2 radiating orbs. He got knocked prone from a reverberation. It's fantastic. This guy here, I'm going to go ahead and run away. That way I'm a little further away from him. We're going to go all the way over here. Despite having low movement, because I am enlarged, I have better movement, especially when I have Long Strider. I can easily get out of the way to attack again with my weapon, and I'm good to go. And this is just the hammer you get inside the Grimforge. With all the interactions, it's so strong. Imagine if I use the legendary weapon instead, how much more damage it would do. So they're gone, and because I did crit, because I do have 1 level into Warlock, whenever you do crit, you have a chance to fear all enemies in an AoE. Now what's annoying is this target up here, right? This is why magic missiles is really useful, because you can target enemies that normally you wouldn't be able to hit. So that guy just got rocked. And if I had Call of the Week, like I mentioned earlier in the video, when it comes to getting your power set up, he may have died. And that's basically the build, guys. You just do incredible damage pretty much at all times. I absolutely love it. It's so good. And just to showcase the power of the legendary trident, we'll go ahead and attack this enemy back here. The legendary trident, as you can see, does way more damage, and it automatically equips when I have it. And you get cool things like Zephyr Flash. If I wanted to do like a rush attack, it has the ability to knock back with its wind ability as well, which also does lightning damage. So all around, the legendary trident is the go-to weapon as soon as you get in Act 3, and it's a legendary weapon as soon as you get to Act 3 you can get right away. I'm Ronan. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. Comment down below what build you want to see and what origin character you want to see next, and I'll try to make it. Again, I am going to be attempting my solo run on Fridays during my live stream, so come hang out. See you next time.